Now we know that the chapters and verses of the Bible were not originally in the scrolls. Man divided the chapters. But what is amazing is that in the Hebrew alphabet consists of 22 letters. The book of Revelation consists of 22 chapters. And every chapter of Revelation stamped in order the meaning of the Hebrew letter. It's just phenomenal. What it shows is the inspiration of the Scriptures. And the final letter is the Taw. And the Taw, you see in the pictograph, it used to be made just like a cross. In ancient Hebrew, the Taw was not like it is on the left, but on the right. It was just a cross. And God marks the end of the book of Revelation with a cross. And the meaning of the cross, or the Taw in Hebrew, is literally to make a mark, to make a sign or cross, to show, or to mark with ownership, to seal, to mark as a covenant, to join two things together, to speak of the last, the finished, the whole, or the complete. What do we have at the end of the book? We have the last words, we have the whole, we have the completion, we have the end, right? But we also, remember, we had in chapter 22, we have that mark of the covenant upon their foreheads. Those who have entrance into the New Jerusalem. And we were reminded of God sitting upon the throne. There shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and the Lamb shall be in it. His servants shall serve them. The end of the end of the book ends with the tree of life. And this is inside that heavenly New Jerusalem. So you can see how the letter in Hebrew, the structure, points to the end. The final constellation, or the final letter, actually points to this constellation right here. You notice it's the cross. This person here has two natures. It was said that the Centaurus had a divine nature. He was human and he was God. And when you read about the positioning of the constellation Crux, people have written about this, not Christians, that he couldn't be any closer to the cross unless he was impaled upon it. Those were non-Christians that wrote that word. He couldn't be, the one with the divine nature couldn't have been any closer to the cross unless he had been nailed upon the cross. Represents him having two natures. In fact, you can see here, it's also the sacrifice. If you go a little further, you can't see it, but there's an altar over here. He puts the sacrifice upon the altar. And there's the judgment, the scales for judgment. We have here, there is no doubt that this ancient symbol, this one here, which of course is written like this today, but it used to be written like that in ancient Hebrew. There is no doubt this ancient symbol had somehow been universally thought of as representing the one most precious seed of the Virgin. In fact, you can see the Virgin's feet right here. Remember, she has the child who would somehow conceive the divine seed of her Creator and then finally bring forth the promised deliverer of mankind. This Savior was to be half man while also being half God. He would come forth to suffer, to die for the redemption of mankind, and afterwards he must rise from the dead. Considering that such a common link does indeed exist throughout the nations of the past, we should give much heed to this stern warning given by God. Now this comes right out of the book of Romans here. So that they, in other words, the whole world, God says, the whole world is without excuse. Because when they knew God, they glorified Him not as God, neither were thankful. These stars, these constellations have gone out into all the world. They are at the center and the foundation of all of the false religions. They all speak of the one who would be impaled, nailed to the cross, rise from the dead. And when Jesus, that's why the three kings came from the east. When he was born, they were looking for he who was going to be king of the Jews. They were looking for the Messiah. What were they? Astrologers. They said, we've seen his star. They believed. Why did they believe? Because someone went and preached them the gospel? No, because they knew from the teachings in the stars that Jesus was the Messiah. And God here says, when people in this earth, no matter where they grow up, when they look at the leaves on the trees, when they look at the miracle of birth, when they look at creation, all of creation, when they look at the seed growing, they plant seed and something sprouts. When they look at life, when they look at the did you know the complexity? How can you have a doctor who looks at the anatomy and physiology of a human being or a little baby? The complexity, and don't believe in God? How could you not believe in God when you're looking at the creation? It has His signature all over. God. And God says they are without excuse, because when they knew there was a God, they refused to glorify Him as God, and they were not thankful, and God gave them up. But thank God that hasn't happened to us. This is where the judgment hits the rest of the people, when they refuse Jesus as Savior. Because deep in their heart, they know. They know they're turning their back on God.
Because it's in the creation.
It's everywhere. It's in the heavens. It's in the earth. It's in everything that's created. And the DNA, all you have to do is look at the DNA. The DNA is it's amazing. A blueprint. Everybody's blueprint is unique and different. And I can take your blueprint, well, all things being equal, I can take your DNA, take an egg, a fertilized egg, take the DNA out of there, stick yours in there, and I'll make another one just like you. And when it comes time for you to be risen from the dead, guess what? God don't need your body. He's got the DNA. Your DNA is man. He can make you exactly the way you were always supposed to be in that blueprint, except no flaw. The way you were meant to be. Some people, they question, well, maybe I don't want to look like me. You don't know what you're supposed to look like.
You got a nose, mouth, eyes.
Well, what I mean is, you look in the mirror and we go, oh, I don't like this defect and I don't like that defect. And
nose too big.
You were made to be perfect. Those flaws, that's not part of the plan. Your new body will be perfect. I don't even think we'll be a little too short. I feel like I'm a little too short. Maybe a little too fat.
No glasses.
No glasses. I mean, think of everything that you would want to change is the defect that won't be there.
Diabetes. Sugar up, no sugar.
You won't need any corrective surgery, any plastic surgery, right?